Alright, before we start, there are things that I want you to know about F.Hokutou. The first one is that all of her hits will crit as long as it is landed properly. So as long as your hits didn't get deflected, then you're good. And then the second one is that targets max HP damage, scales of C damage. So you want to get her C damage as high as you can. Now that you already know that F.Hokutou doesn't need crit, let's learn about her skills. Her S3 has a 100% pen and deals damage mainly based on the target's max HP. That is why her S3 attack percent multiplier is extremely low. But if you ask whether she still needs high attack or not, then the answer is yes. She still needs it because her S2 and S1 get a somewhat decent attack percent multiplier. But back to her S3 again, she will also dispel one buff if her S3 hits, repel their HP by 20% and place unable to heal debuff for one turn. But you must remember, despite those debuffs, the main point of her S3 is to kill the enemy, so the debuffs there are just a luxury. Oh, she will also be granted a special buff that increases her C damage by 50%. But I'm not quite sure if this buff will bypass the C damage cap or not. Like, there are skills that have C damage increase. Those skills can bypass the C damage cap from what I know. But anyways, we move to her next skill, and that is her S2. This is the skill that makes F.Hokutou dangerous. If you have her at R3, on R3 you will get a free 20% AP boost when the battle starts. Pair this with a max speed research and an R4 phantom, then your F.Hokutou can go first rather easily. But wait, we're not done yet. Next to that, if you have her special buff, when this skill is being used inside her own turn, you will be granted an attack buff. You will also get a damage reduction upon taking a crit by 15%. This damage reduction will be important for us later. Back to her S2 again. This S2 has a 13% pen base and 15% if your F.Hokutou is at R4. Also, the reason her S2 has a low attack percent multiplier is because it has pen and something to do with her S1. Her S1 has a pretty decent attack percent multiplier, but got no pen. It also has a chance to drop a speed down debuff. But what matters is that if your F.Hokutou has her special buff, then this S1 will follow up with her S2, which is huge. I mean, obviously we won't be getting the attack buff from the follow-up from her S2, but damage-wise, using S1 then S2 will deal more damage, even if you're like with or without attack buff, compared to only using her S2. Now let's talk about her builds. Remember, F.Hokutou with her special buff got a damage reduction up to 15% upon taking a crit. So there are two ways for you to build her. The first one is a pure DPS and the second one is a bruiser. These builds are only different in substats. The set you will be using are basically the same. It is a speed and pen set. The reason we are using pen set here is because her S2 has a low base pen and her S1 basically got no pen. So a pen set is necessary if you want to maximize her damage, as both skill, her S2 and S1 got a really low attack percent multiplier as well. Lastly, the minimum rank up that you need for your F.Hokutou to work in PvP defense is at R3. But if you can only get her at R0, then that is also fine, as she will make a good DPS in PvE. Okay, so to close this up, I've seen many fallen soldiers during the F.Hokutou rolls. It sucked, and there's no amount of sugarcoat that would leave the bitter taste. But remember, we still have roughly 1 month to save, and for you to try once again. Wish us all the best luck. Until next time.